Good day, everyone. This is Asila Abedallah, and in today's lesson, we will be reviewing the present simple, which is a topic that I'm sure all of us are familiar with. For the objectives, we will learn when to use the present simple. We will learn how to make affirmative and negative sentences using this tense. We will also learn how to make questions. We will make a comparison between the present simple and the present continuous. We will learn when to use each of them, and we will learn how they intertwine. And at the end of this presentation, there will be an exercise which you will have to submit to Miss Dana. So بدرس اليوم رح نتعلم عن المضارع البسيط، رح نتعلم متى بنستعمله وكيف بتتكون الجملة المثبتة والجملة المنفية منه، وبرضه كيف بنكون أسئلة. رح نعمل مقارنة بين ال present simple أو المضارع البسيط والمضارع المستمر. رح نتعلم متى بنستعمل كل واحد فيهم ووين بيتداخلوا مع بعض أو شو التشابه بيناتهم. بالأخير رح يكون في exercise المفروض تسلموه لمس دانا. So, when to use the present simple? We use the present simple when talking about things in general actions, describing things and explaining how things work. بنستعمله لما بنحكي عن أشياء بشكل عام أو لما بنشرح طريقة عمل شغلة معينة مثلا أو نوصف شغلة معينة لحدا. Also, we use it when talking about habits and routines, things that happen regularly or on regular basis. أشياء بنعملها بشكل معتاد. And when talking about things that are true in general or facts. So, examples of these are as follows. For general things, an example might be mothers look after their children, or I don't work at a restaurant. For habits and routines, we can say something like my father wakes up at 9 every day. This is something that happens on regular basis or daily basis. The gardener grooms the bushes bi-weekly, which is every other week أو كل أسبوعين. An example of facts or examples of facts, the sun sets at 7:30 or the spring always comes after winter. These are just facts that we know are true and can't be denied. We come now to talk about the affirmative and negative sentences using present simple, الجمل المثبتة والجمل المنفية بالمضارع البسيط, and how we can form them. When it comes to forming these sentences, we need to take into consideration the subject of the sentence. لازم ناخد بعين الاعتبار subject أو الفاعل لهاي الجمل. If it's whether it's plural or singular, إذا كان جمع أو مفرد. If it is a plural noun or any pronoun that's considered or treated as plural, like I, you, we, and they, we add the first form of the verb with it. So إذا كان الفاعل جمع أو أي كلمة بتتعامل مع عملة الجمع بنستعمل معها verb 1 أو the first form of the verb. For example, do, sleep, drink, etc. Now, if it was a singular noun or any pronoun that is considered singular, we use the first form of the verb and we add s or es. For example, does, touches, believes, and so on. إذا كان الفاعل بالجملة مفرد أو بيتعامل مع عملة المفرد نستعمل the first form of the verb وبنضيف له s أو es. Same thing applies to the negative sentences. We have to consider the subject of the sentence, and accordingly we add don't if it was plural noun and doesn't if it was singular. So do not if the subject is plural or considered as plural, like I, you, we, and they. We use don't after the subject and then we follow it with the infinitive form of the verb, as in don't sleep, don't eat, don't drink, and so on. And if it was singular noun or any pronoun that's singular, we add doesn't and we follow it with the infinitive form of the verb, as in doesn't or doesn't eat, doesn't touch, doesn't believe, and so on. So, as a follow-up to what I mentioned in the previous slide about adding s or es to the verb that's following a singular noun, it is worth knowing or worth mentioning when should we add s or es to these verbs. So the rule says generally verbs ending with o, ch, sh, th, and that's pronounced the, double s or z, these are the verbs we add es to. So, as an example for verbs ending with o, we have goes and does. We have teaches and itches بمعنى يحك. These are verbs ending with ch. Fishes بمعنى يصطاد السمك. This is a verb ending with sh that we add es to. Now, verbs ending with th are like breathes and bathes, and verbs ending with double s like stresses and passes. Now, when it comes to forming questions with the simple present, we already know that there are two types of questions, the yes or no questions and the WH questions. Now, in a question form, the do verb always precedes the subject. It comes before the subject, not after, like regular sentences. So, when subjects are plural, we use do, and then the subject, and then the infinitive form of the verb. For example, do they keep the lights on at night? So, again, do comes first, and then the subject, and then it's followed with the infinitive form of the verb. Now, if the pronoun or the subject is singular, we use does with it, and then comes the subject and then the infinitive form of the verb. For example, does the teacher wear glasses? Now, with WH word questions, we start with that WH word, followed by do or does according to the subject, and then the infinitive form of the verb. So, for example, if the subject is plural, we use do, as in when do you usually sleep, or does if it's singular, like how does Earth revolve around the sun. Now, when it comes to negative questions, either for yes or no questions or WH questions, we can add not in two ways. We either add not in its abbreviated form, to do or does before the subject. For example, doesn't your sister go to the same school as you do? Or why don't we go to the movies this weekend? By the way, the movies here means the cinema, not the actual movies. So the other way is we can add not between the subject and the infinitive verb. For example, do firemen not take a break? Or why does this lady not understand Spanish? Both ways are correct. Both are grammatically valid. So للأسئلة المنفية نقدر نضيف not بحالتين، يا إما بتكون مع does or do، بتكون بالشكل المختصر هاد، يا إما بتكون not بس بنحطها بين السبجكت والفعل. والطريقتين صحيحات والطريقتين قواعديا مظبوطين. We come now to the last part of this presentation, which is the comparison between the present simple and the present continuous. We already learned that a simple present is used to talk about general things, habits, and facts. أشياء بشكل عام، عادات أو حقائق. For example, mom makes lunch daily at 3. On the other hand, the present continuous is used to talk about things that are happening now and are not finished. An example of that would be, look, the butterfly is fluttering its wings, or look, the man is crossing the street. They're still doing the verb, they're still making the action, and they're not done yet. Another usage is talking about things that are permanent. For example, I live in Aqaba, meaning I lived in Aqaba all my life, I'm still living in Aqaba, and I will continue to live in Aqaba. On the other hand, the present continuous talks about things that are temporary. An example of that would be, I am living in a dorm at university, which means I will leave once I graduate, or I will move out once I'm done with university. I'm not staying. Lastly, we use the simple present to talk about things happening on regular basis. For example, I always clean my room. هاي أشياء بنعملها بشكل معتاد. On the other hand, we use the present continuous to talk about things happening too often or more than we want. It's almost as if we're complaining. So, بنستعمله لما بنحكي عن أشياء بتحصل مرات أكتر من ما بدنا. كأنه يعني عم نشكي إنه هاي الأشياء عم تصير أكتر من ما نحن بدنا إياها. For example, I'm always breaking things. I'll be leaving you with this exercise so you can practice what we learned today and answer the questions or fill in the blanks and submit your answers to Miss Dana. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.